Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about the external jugular vein. Before going into the course and the tributaries of the external jugular vein, we need to know how the external jugular vein is made. Okay, so let's start. So first I am going to draw a diagram, a small diagram. Like a W. Okay, now in the upper part we have two branches like this, and in the middle also we have two branches, right? So this branch is known as supraorbital vein. Supraorbital vein. This one is called supratrochlear vein. Okay, now when the supraorbital and the supratrochlear vein unites, this forms a vein in between. This red colored vein is known as angular vein. Angular vein. Okay, and the rest from the angular vein, what arises? This one. This is called facial vein. Facial vein. Okay, so supraorbital vein and supratrochlear vein two unites to form angular vein, and the angular vein gives rise to facial vein. Okay, so this part is over. Now let us come to this part. Okay, so this one is called maxillary vein. Maxillary vein, right? And this one is known as superficial temporal vein. Superficial temporal vein. So again another vein is formed in between. This is called, this black color that I have drawn, this is called retromandibular vein. Retromandibular vein. What is the meaning of retro? Like we hear in the TV retro songs. Retro means behind or past. So here retro means behind the mandible, retromandibular. So behind the mandible it is known as retromandibular vein. So now you can see there are two branches. Okay, so this one, okay, I'll use another color. This one is the anterior part, anterior branch. Okay, and this one, this is the posterior branch. So this one is the anterior branch, this one is the posterior branch. So the anterior branch of retromandibular vein and the facial vein, the two joins to form what vein? To form common facial vein. So the anterior division of the retromandibular vein and the facial vein both joins to form the common facial vein. Now the anterior part is over, so now we will see what will happen to the posterior division. The posterior branch of the retromandibular vein and this vein is known as posterior auricular vein. posterior means behind and auricle means ear. So behind the ear this vein is draining, so this is known as posterior auricular vein. So this posterior auricular and the posterior branch of the retromandibular vein both joins to form a vein which is known as external jugular vein. So this is our topic, the external jugular vein. So first we have to write what is the formation of the external jugular vein. So first we will write formation. What forms the external jugular vein? So we saw the posterior branch of the retromandibular and the posterior auricular both joins to form the external jugular. So we will write that only. I am writing the short form: posterior branch of retromandibular vein and posterior auricular vein joins to form external jugular vein. Right? Now course, how it drains. The external jugular vein, it runs downwards, in superficial fascia, pierces deep fascia, and enters subclavian triangle. Subclavian triangle is one of the part of posterior triangle. I will be taking the class later on. Enters the subclavian triangle and drains into which vein? Subclavian vein. Okay, so this is the course of the external jugular vein. Now let's talk about the tributaries. What are the tributaries of the external jugular vein? When we talk about the tributaries, first to write the names of the veins that are forming the external jugular, means the posterior auricular and the posterior branch of the retromandibular. Okay, so first posterior auricular vein, second posterior branch of retromandibular vein, third posterior external jugular vein, fourth oblique jugular vein, fifth anterior jugular vein, sixth suprascapular vein, and seventh transverse cervical vein. These are the branches of the external jugular vein. Let us come to the clinical part, clinical anatomy. Now swelling in posterior triangle. I told you now when I was telling the course, the subclavian triangle. The subclavian triangle is one of the parts of the posterior triangle. Okay, so swelling in the posterior triangle, which is caused due to enlargement of lymph nodes and supraclavicular lymph node swelling can be caused due to a number of reasons. What are the reasons? Number 1 is tuberculosis, TB. Okay. Number 2 is Hodgkin's disease. Number 3 is malignant growth of breast, or you can say breast cancer, growth of breast. Second, enlargement of left supraclavicular lymph nodes. When it is left supraclavicular lymph nodes, only the left, the enlargement is known as Virchow's lymph nodes. This can be MCQ also. What is the Virchow's lymph nodes? It is the swelling up of the left supraclavicular lymph node. It is involved in metastasis. What is metastasis? It is the flow of a malignant growth from one place to another. Metastasis from stomach cancer, testis cancer, etc. Third one can be venous air embolism, which can be caused due to injury of the external jugular vein. Fourth one is the external jugular vein is preferred for central venous cannulation. Central venous cannulation. Right. So this was all about the external jugular vein. First you should write the formation, draw this diagram, write the formation of the external jugular, write this, write the course, write the tributaries, write the clinical, and you will get the marks. Okay, thank you.